Johnny Mirror here, and welcome back to a brand new review. Today we're going to be reviewing Cronos: The New Dawn, developed by Bloober team, brand new survival horror game that just released this September in 2025. I'm so excited to talk about this one. I have a lot to say. Yeah, this is the first review in a long time. I've kind of been on a little bit of hiatus, but really was just taking a big break, doing a lot of other things in my life. But now we're back. Got a lot of new things. Like I redid my logo. I redid a bunch of graphics. Thumbnails are all different. And there's one big change happening with reviews, and that is we are no longer going to be doing 0.5s. It is now just going to be 0 through 10, I guess, really. 0 through 10, no 0.5. So it's either 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so, yeah, I just made that change because I feel like that's just, to me, I just like that a little bit better. I just like that a little bit better. And, yeah, that's what we're going to be going off. So, without further ado, man, we're going to get right into it. But if you guys love video games, this is the place to be. It doesn't matter what you love. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, third-party, PC, VR, indie, whatever it may be. Consider subscribing, share with your friends. We cover all of it daily. And, yeah, I just love video games. I want to share with all y'all, and I hope y'all will be there for the ride. But without further ado, man, let's go. We have a lot of reviews coming. I'm kind of going to be catching up, doing a recap, because even though I haven't been making content, I have been playing the heck out of video games. I have a lot of reviews to do. I have a lot of reactions to catch up on. And yeah, it's just going to be a great time. We're going to have like 2 podcasts within like the week. So it's going to be really, really good. So I hope you guys are excited as I am. But without further ado, man, Cronos: The New Dawn. This was a game I was very excited for. Honestly, like truly excited because I have been a fan of Bloober team since The Medium. In like 2020, I think, which is kind of like more of a psychological horror game. Not really any action in it, though. It was literally just like a walking simulator, kind of. But I was a fan of the game. I really enjoyed the game. I love the story. I love just a lot of the different gameplay elements that they incorporated in it, like puzzles and stuff like that. And then, of course, we got the announcement that they were developing Silent Hill 2 Remake. And while I was super duper excited for that, when we started seeing trailers, I was like, I don't know, it's not blowing me away or anything, right? But then the game came out, I played it as everybody should, not just Silent Hill 2, just play any game. Like, don't just judge it off of trailers or what anyone else says. Play the game for yourself to figure out how you actually feel. And I played it, and I was blown away. I was like, yo, I was so wrong about this. This is an absolute banger. Like, This should have been nominated for Game of the Year last year, but it wasn't. And I absolutely love Silent Hill 2. And so, therefore, I was like, okay, Bloober team kind of knows what they're doing. And then they announced Cronos: The New Dawn like a month after the release of Silent Hill 2. And I was immediately captured by like, ooh, this looks interesting. I like the kind of sci-fi post-apocalyptic look going on here. Kind of looks like Dead Space mixed with Silent Hill. And I was all for it. I was like, yo, I'm kind of liking this. And then we saw gameplay, and I was like, it really is like Dead Space meets Silent Hill. And then we started hearing things about it being a really difficult horror game. We started hearing things about it was gonna be like kind of like a Souls-like in a way, and that it was gonna have a lot of different weird mechanics, like enemies merging into each other and stuff like that. And I was starting to be like, what is Bloober team cooking? What are they cooking here? Because I was at the point where I was like, I'm excited. I'm gonna be playing this no matter what. I have faith in Bloober team. I love Bloober team's games, and I really like the concept. And from what I've seen of the trailer so far, I was already into it. But I wasn't like, I wasn't sure if this was gonna be a banger or if this was just gonna be a good game or if it was just gonna be a whatever game, right? I did actually pick this game up in my Fantasy Critic a team, which is like fantasy football but for video game reviews. And well, it did score like I think it's like a 78 or something like that right now, which is all right. But I was like, man, I don't know, this game could go one of either way. So without further ado, enough of me rambling history, giving you a backstory lesson, whatever about this game. Let me just tell you what I actually think about this game. And this has been a year of games where, for me, it's just been, there's been some absolute greats. There's been some really good games, and there's just been some that are just like, yeah, it was alright. Cronos: The New Dawn, to me, is one of my favorite games of the year. And there's a lot of reasons for this, and I can't wait to get into this, to talk about this. And matter of fact, as of right now, this is probably a top 3 game of the year for me. I thought this was absolutely fantastic. I was a little bit worried about the difficulty. I was a little bit worried about the story. I was a little bit worried about performance. I was a little bit worried about substance whenever it comes to gameplay and how it progresses throughout the game, because this is kind of a longer, it's on the longer side of survival horror games. It took me about like 16 to 18 hours. I ended up walking out hoping for a sequel. Like, I truly hope Bloober team find success in this and that they develop a sequel, because I think everything that was laid out here is great. I think the world building was incredible. I think the atmosphere and art design that is in this game is really, really cool. I love the gameplay. We're going to talk about that. The music actually was a little bit of a surprising factor for me. There was a lot of times where I was like, ooh, I like this. I like this music. When you really don't get that in survival horror games a lot. And yeah, this game just really blew me away on a lot of different levels. That being said, there are a lot of flaws in this game. There are a lot of things where I think they have definitely left the door open for improvement. But everything that was set here, all the groundwork, all the concepts really worked for me in this game. So let's go ahead. Let's start breaking it down. And let's just start with the gameplay. To me, the absolute best part of this game, the thing that carries it the most, is the gameplay. And when I say gameplay, I'm specifically talking about its combat. I think its combat, to me, might be a top 3, maybe even top 2 survival horror combat. I'm not sure what would take the 1 spot at the moment. Maybe it is this game, but I really, really enjoyed this. This is the element that really kept me going, that really kept me wanting to play more and more and more. And it's because they find such a great way to do all the things you love in survival horror combat, whether it is inventory management, whether it is the jump scare factor, whether it is enemy variety, whether it is interesting level design, using environmental things to your advantage, you know, having to worry, all right, I only have 3 pistol ammo left, I only have 1 shotgun ammo, I have 2 heals, all right, how can I make this work? How am I gonna survive this? Because resources are scarce, and I have this big old monster in front of me, so I need to play this really, really smart. It takes all of that, and it just kind of adds its own little twist to it. And the twist that I found really interesting is you get a lot of, I mean, I'm going to say this here and be like, all right, how's that different? You get a lot of different resources in this game. And part of that comes at the expense of your suit and, like, I don't even know what you'd call it, like, in like Call of Duty, kind of, you have like your lethal and ordinances, right? Like you have a stun grenade, you have a grenade, you have like a smoke bomb, whatever. You get a lot of those different things in this game that help you. There is like a little flamethrower thing you get this little like bomb that you can like shoot out. You get just a lot of different things that help you fight, but all of those are resources. You can only carry 1 flamethrower at a time unless you upgrade it. You can only carry 1 bomb at a time unless you upgrade it. You can only carry 4 guns at a time, each gun which does very different things. You can only carry so much ammo, and you have to keep upgrading your inventory as you go. And to me, that is one part that I absolutely love about survival horror games, is the inventory management. The idea that your resources are scarce, and so you have to kind of survive with what you have. You're not given 3 full clips of AR ammo to just spray and pray all these monsters, kind of like a zombie game or something. No, you reach these encounters. You don't know what enemies you're gonna get. You don't know how many enemies you're gonna encounter, and you kind of just have to make it work with what you have. And I really love that, and I think they do a really good job at it. I know there have been a lot of complaints of they don't give you enough ammo or whatnot. I honestly probably only died about 3 times throughout my whole playthrough. I really did not struggle in this game at all. I don't think there are any difficulty modes either. I think you just get what you get in this game. And I personally did not struggle at all. Granted, I am like, survival horror is like my favorite genre, so maybe I'm just really good at them. I don't know. But I really just cruised on through this game. There are moments, though, that for sure I was like definitely stressed. And that's what I love about it, right? That's what I think they do so well about the resource, is they don't give you so much to where it's not really stressful, because you know you could just start spraying and praying and defeat them all. they give you just enough where you feel like right as you defeat the last enemy, you maybe have like 1 bullet left, or maybe even 0 bullets left, and you're like, wow, I barely made it through that. And it leads to a lot of stressful moments, because you're like, oh my gosh, I might be running out of ammo. Oh my gosh, well, what am I gonna do if I run out of ammo? You do have melee attacks in this game, which I use sometimes. Like, it definitely is kind of a last resort, or if they're like right up in your face and you have to reload, you can just punch them real quick just to get them away from you so you can reload. There's just a lot of different things that you can do in this game. Whether it is explosives on the ground that you can shoot and reconstruct, that is another gameplay element that is in this game. You have this like manipulating machine where you can like use it to fire a laser beam kind of type thing, and you can construct these explosive barrels, or they're used for puzzles a lot of times, so like floating platforms and stuff like that. I wouldn't really call it a combat mechanic, but it is there. So I was super addicted to this game's combat, and truly I just wanted to keep playing and keep playing and keep playing because of the combat. I will say, if I had to put one critique on the combat, for me, there is two. I think one, I wish there was a little bit more enemy variety. I think, you know, the enemies that are there are good. I really enjoy them. I think the whole mechanic of them trying to combine with each other, and therefore you have to burn the bodies, otherwise they will combine, I think is a really cool feature. I think that just adds another layer of depth on top of it. But I will say, I wish there was a little bit more variety, as well as the weapons. By the end of the game, I was only using like three out of the eight or so weapons. I found some of the weapons just to not really be all that effective or interesting, and it just so happens the two weapons I use the absolute most are the very first 2 weapons you get. So I did kind of reach a point where I was like, I just feel like I'm kind of using the same weapons throughout the whole game. Luckily, I loved those 2 weapons, so it didn't really like detract from my experience at all. But yeah, I just absolutely loved the combat. I loved its difficulty. I loved its pacing. I don't think there is a moment where they shove too many enemies at you. I don't think there's a moment where they don't shove enough enemies at you, right? I think that is a different problem when it comes to gameplay, which we're going to talk about now, and that is the outside of combat. I think the outside of combat is good. I like the puzzles they have. I wish they took it a little bit step further. Like I said, I love the little manipulation thing that they have. I love the I don't know what you call it, like parkour / traversal, getting to where you have to go. There's a lot of like jumping from like gravity platforms to gravity platforms. You're like floating in like space looking thing. There's a lot of different things going on in this game, all thanks to its awesome world building, and it just kind of makes sense by the end of it. There's a lot to like here. There's one problem with its outside of combat. There is a lot of like walking. Like, there is very clearly points of interest in this game. Like, if you were to segment this game into chapters, there are very clearly chapters. Like, there's the hospital chapter, there's the church chapter, there is the town chapter, right? Getting to those places, though, is kind of just like a big walk through the park. And you just run into enemies sometimes you don't, sometimes you run into a puzzle. And I wish they shorten those moments, because to me, I wanted to get to the meat and potatoes quicker, and those meat and potatoes were those like points of interest, in which you could call like chapters in this game. I wish we could get to those chapters a little bit quicker, but luckily I enjoyed the combat so much that on my way there, when I ran into enemies, I was more than happy to just absolutely obliterate them. And yeah, sorry for the violence there. But anyway, yeah, other than that, I really liked it. The progression in this game, I think, is solid. It's exactly what you would expect. You have like a currency in which you find throughout your levels, and then you obviously can get like upgrade points, which you can upgrade your suit. I think you can upgrade weapons as well, which I think is really, really cool, which is not normally in a lot of survival horror games. You can upgrade a lot of suit augmentations, and yeah, there's just a lot to like here when it comes to gameplay. I really found very little complaints when it came to Cronos the New Dawn's gameplay loop. But let's go ahead and talk about the next thing. And that is, we're just going to talk about story / world building as a whole, right? Because I think on one hand, I was super captivated by the world I was exploring, by a lot of the characters I was meeting. I was like, oh, this person's interesting. I wonder what they're about. And then they kind of just didn't do anything with them, right? I think if you were to ask me, just come up to me on a random day and be like, yo, what do you think of Cronos the New Dawn? It would be, I love the gameplay. I love the visuals. I really enjoyed the music. The world is really, really cool. The story, it was okay. It was okay. The story really is the only bad. I wouldn't even say bad. It's really the only part of this game where I was not really impressed. And it's a real shame because I loved the concept they're going for. There is moments in this game story where I'm like, oh, that's cool what they're doing. And then it just doesn't execute well, and it just doesn't live up to the cool concept that they put. There's a lot of time travel in this game, and there is a lot of time manipulation, and the whole game is trying to solve a mystery. Like that is the whole plot. It's trying to solve a mystery. And I feel like they just don't do a good job at it. I really like the time travel elements. Every time it happens, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I wonder where we're going. I wonder when we're going. You know, there's a lot of cool things to like. I just feel like it never lives up to its potential. And that really is a bummer because I think that's like the only like not great thing about this game is its story. And it's not helped, unfortunately, by pacing. The pacing, there is moments where you are just sitting talking with another character. You kind of see him in the trailer. He's like a more beaten down, older like traveler. And in the trailer he's like, "Hello, traveler," stuff like that. I'm trying not to spoil the game as much as I can. There's moments where you're talking to him and there's like no music in the background, and these characters talk really slowly, like legitimately they are robots from like 1990. They're like, I must figure this out. I must defeat them. Like they talk so slow, and there's like no music, and they're just standing still. They're not really doing much, and it's just like, oh Lord, like what do we do? There is no energy right here. There is nothing. It kind of like there were moments where I started falling asleep in those specific moments, but then as soon as I got back to gameplay, I was immediately locked back in. And that's something I really enjoyed about this game specifically. Is this was a game where I could sit there for a large amount of time and play in one sitting. There are some games where as soon as I've played like an hour or 2 hours, I'm like ready to get up out of the couch and go do something else. Even though I'm having a good time, it doesn't like hook me to where I like can't leave my couch. This game kept me on my couch for a long period of time. If I played this game every day, I played this game. I played it for at least 5 hours of sitting. Like it was very, very good in that sense where I just got hooked because of the gameplay every single time. And yeah, I really like that. But then you do get those story moments, and you're kind of like, all right, let's move on. This is whatever. Don't really care. But again, there are a lot of cool concepts. What I will say is the story does pick up a little bit slack with its world building. I really love all the different areas we go to. I love some of the characters we meet. Some of the things that they talk about or some of the things that they go into I think are really cool. I love the whole premise of the characters and like what happened in this world. I think they did a great job at that, and so it at least kept me interested enough to want to finish the game. And I will say the ending is actually really good. This is one of those games. This is a very rare thing in gaming, I feel like, where I actually think the ending was like the best part story-wise. I feel like there's a lot of games where the story is so good and the ending is kind of just like fine, whatever. This one, I really felt like the ending of the story actually made the story feel worth it, you know, which is really cool. There's actually a lot of choices you have to make towards the end, which I really, really enjoyed. But yeah, overall, I found it okay. Truly, if it wasn't just for some of the plot execution and some of the pacing, I think this story would be completely serviceable. Other than that, I think it is just fine. But yeah, visuals, audio, they killed it. I mean, talk about the art design for a second. Just looking at the suit of the main character, it's so cool looking. Like, it really is cool. Yes, you could say it looks like a giant butt on the head. I get that. You could say it's just a Dead Space ripoff. I get that. But to me, I really like it. and that is only enhanced by the awesome environments we go to. We talk about it all the time in things like Alan Wake, Silent Hill specifically, Dead Space, Resident Evil. The atmosphere and the environments are just so cool. There's just such an ominous, like, feeling when playing this game, because you're like, as soon as you turn a corner, you're gonna see something weird. You'll be like, what the heck is that? And every time you fighting enemies, there's just some weird things going on. Every time you reach a cutscene, you're like, where are we going? There's just so many cool things to love about this game's atmosphere, art design, all of it. Its visuals are great. By the way, this game runs really, really well, which I'm super, super thankful for. Yeah, there's a lot of different locations. Like I said, you do go to a church, you go to like a hospital. I think all those different environments are super, super cool. I really, really enjoyed them. And then the audio. I mean, that's something else you hear a lot about horror games, is how fantastic the audio is. And once again, this one did it remarkably. There's a lot of different sound effects you actually have to pay attention to in this game when it comes to the combat. Whether it is something recharging, whether it is you getting more ammo, or whether you have to pay attention to like some kind of hazard. There's a lot of different sounds that you have to pay attention to, and it's just also brought to life by the environmental sound effects, the music that happens at some point. Really good. The only audio thing I would criticize is the voice acting. If you would consider that audio, which, I mean, it is. The voice acting I thought was just okay. But, yeah, other than that, man, I thought the visuals and audio design were terrific. And, yeah, I mean, ultimately, here's what it comes down to with Cronos the New Dawn. Would I tell you it's one of the best games of the year? No. Would I tell you it has like some of the greatest elements you'll ever see in a survival horror game? No. But would I tell you it is one of my most enjoyable games that I've had this year? Yes, I would. And for me, that's everything, is how much did I enjoy a game. And to me, this was, like I said, a top 3 game of the year for me, where I would replay this. I am hoping for a sequel. I wanted to watch people's reaction playing this game, because I was so I was enjoying it so much. And so for me, I'm going to give this game a 9 out of 10. I know that seems a little bit high with how many criticisms that I kind of gave it, but for me, I just really, really enjoyed this game. I thought it was terrific. I think the gameplay alone makes this game at least a 7 out of 10. And then I think you add in all the amazing survival horror elements that you get awesome visuals, really cool atmospheres, really cool environments. The audio design is just terrific once again. I think you get world building that's really cool, and a lot of cool concepts. Unfortunately, I think the pacing and the story just brings it down a little bit. Ultimately, that wasn't what I was going into the game for. It is there, so I do have to criticize it, even though it may not be the main focus of the game. It is there, and so I have to point it out, and I have to criticize it, because that is part of the game. But for me, when I look at the overall product and my overall experience for this game, it was up there with amongst the best of the year so far. And for me, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I go ahead and write this in my little blurb. Bloober team once again proves they know what makes horror games great. Incredible atmosphere, crunchy gameplay, unique world building, and superb sound design. While the story and pacing ultimately leaves the door open for improvement, I couldn't help but be hooked from start to finish. Cronos the New Dawn is exactly what I hoped for, and it's actually scary. And that is one part I forgot to mention. This game might be the actual scariest survival horror game I've played in a long time. And that is something else that I absolutely kept wanting to play for. There is a moment, there is a moment in this game where, I kid you not, I legitimately had to pause the game and walk out of my room for a second, because I was terrified. There is a moment where they just set it up so perfectly. They set it up so perfectly. The build up to it, the different elements that they use to make the sequence happen. I was genuinely on the edge of my seat, dude. I was scared, and I haven't felt that in a game in a long time. Yes, Silent Hill is freaky at times. Yes, there's a couple good jump scares in Resident Evil. Yes, Alan Wake has a couple good jump scares. Dead Space also a little bit freaky at times. But there is a moment where I was so stressed and I was so like, I was just anticipating anything that I was legitimately like scared. I was scared, and I love that. I want more of that. This is a game that knew what they were doing, and Bloober team, man, they just know how to make horror games. Like, never doubt Bloober team, man. They nail it, and I absolutely loved this game. Cronos the New Dawn is a 9 out of 10 for me. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, definitely leave a comment section down below provided. What do y'all think of Cronos the New Dawn? I would love to talk about it a little bit more. With that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Johnny Morrow. Peace.